Good afternoon and welcome to a new episode of The Clever Clarinetist. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a trick I've been working on lately, and that is the beginning clarinet embouchure. I know this can be like the hardest thing about teaching beginning clarinet, especially for band directors who might not play the clarinet. And you get all kinds of crazy things from your kids. You get the big lip or the kissy face. I don't even know how they do these things. But all of these are symptoms of the fear of squeaking, and I have a special trick that I use with all my students, no matter what their level, to eliminate squeaks. Now, of course, when you get the whole clarinet involved, it gets a little tricky, so I recommend that we start all students with just a few pieces of the clarinet, namely the barrel, mouthpiece, ligature, and of course, reeds. I think this eliminates a lot of the scary aspects of clarinet playing, well, some of the more fun aspects of clarinet playing, and therefore some of the annoying aspects of beginning clarinet playing when we just start with this. So first you want to put your mouthpiece and your barrel together, and then I always recommend that students put their ligature on next. I don't know how many times I've had students come to my studio where they assemble their mouthpiece first and then they put it on the barrel. The reed will inevitably become misaligned, or they can break the reed. It just causes a lot more problems than it fixes. So always we put the mouthpiece on first and then the ligature. For me, as a kid, I had a metal ligature, and when I was putting the ligature on last, I was always breaking reeds because it was catching the reed on the metal ligature. So I'm going to pull out a reed from a box, get it wet. You'll notice I'm wetting on both ends. This is because the clarinet reed becomes kind of like a suction cup against the table of the mouthpiece. And getting it wet will make a really good seal, just like a suction cup would, like on your shower wall. You don't need to wet it a ton, just enough for it to be wet. There is such a thing as waterlogging clarinet reeds, which renders them difficult to use. So I recommend just minor wetting. And a lot of students ask me about the direction their ligature goes on. Ligatures are a right-hand biased piece of equipment, so if they're wondering whether their ligature is inverted with the screws on the outside or standard with the screws on the inside, the answer is that the screws should always be turnable in the right hand. So if they're turnable in the left hand, then they're on backwards. Mine is in the middle, so it doesn't matter. I do a little bit of ambidextrous ligature tightening, but just enough to feel a little resistance in your fingers. You don't need to tighten it to death. That can break ligatures, especially the inexpensive plastic or metal ones that kids get with their new clarinets. All right, so we have the setup. Set up. Yes, clarinetists refer to this as the setup. The mouthpiece, ligature, reed, and barrel. So we have set up our setup. All right. Now here comes the scary part, right? I learned to do this with kids who we were testing to start beginning band as clarinetist. After getting student after student coming up to me and having a really hard time making a sound, I was like, I know it's not that hard. Like, I know if it were easy, everyone would do it, but it's not that hard. So I started telling them to do this thing that I tell my adult students to do when they're squeaking a whole bunch in the high register, and that is to use a double lip embouchure. So basically what I would do with kids who I was testing, I would have them hold up their barrel and mouthpiece, and I would say, look like me. And they would do it, and inevitably make a great sound on their barrel and mouthpiece combination. So basically for a double lip embouchure, we want to think about curling both lips in, which also inevitably will bring the corners in. Now this is the thing that stops kids from squeaking all the time. When we don't cover the holes, of course, that can make it squeak, but we can also make our clarinet squeak by applying too much pressure this way. We want the pressure to come this way. You're welcome. So, grandma lip seems to accomplish this. Grandma lips or double lip, however you want to refer to it with your students, as long as they're getting a lip, their top lip under their top teeth, and their bottom lip over their bottom teeth, then they're doing well. I like the ew concept when we're working on putting our teeth on the mouthpiece, but the teeth don't have to go in the mouthpiece. This is a common misconception about clarinet embouchure. Robert Marcellus, who is one of the grandfathers of clarinet playing, later in his career learned to play with a double lip embouchure due to his teeth changing. So I feel like if one of the greatest clarinet players in American clarinet playing history can do it, then so can't the rest of us, right? I use this tool in my own practice when I catch myself biting. If you pay close attention, you'll see that I'm never using any kind of protective covering over my teeth, and that's because I have learned how not to bite over the years, and I can practice hours and hours a day without needing any kind of teeth tape. Very cool. Another important aspect of this beginning clarinet embouchure is the pitch that they're making. It should be an F sharp. Hopefully, if it's on the low side, that just means their tongue position is low, and in that case I tell them to channel their inner dolphin E, because the vowel E forces them to shove their tongue close to the roof of their mouth. If they feel like they're touching the roof of their mouth, that's probably okay. I feel like I'm touching the roof of my mouth whenever I'm using a good high tongue position. So let's channel our inner dolphins. E! Grandma dolphin, E! And basically you'll see that they have an easier time getting the clarinet to respond, and when they start adding the other pieces of the clarinet, they won't be squeaking so much. And all of this will stay where it's supposed to be. You don't have to have them put their teeth on the mouthpiece if you don't want to. You can have them play a double lip embouchure forever. I put my teeth on the mouthpiece because I find a little bit more security in putting my teeth on the mouthpiece, but it is optional. Fun facts for the day. Alright, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below or visit my website, cleverclarinetist.com, or shoot me an email at larkin@cleverclarinetist.com. I'll see you next time.